Dear students, welcome to the MOOC on India's foreign policy in a globalizing world. In this lesson, we are going to discuss about climate change and the rise in sea levels. Main objectives of this lesson are to learn about the impact of climate change on the rise in sea levels, to know the impact of GHGs on climate change, to know the impact of climate change on India. We begin with the first part of the lesson, in which we will discuss about the rise in sea levels. The discourse on climate change reveals that entire humanity would face numerous problems such as a rise in sea levels, migration of people who live in low-lying areas, environmental hazards such as cyclones and droughts, impact on health, affected crop yield, and water scarcity due to greenhouse gas emissions such as carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, hydrofluorocarbons, perfluorocarbons, and sulfur hexafluoride emissions. Climate change poses multiple challenges for entire human population. Emission of carbon dioxide, sulfur and hexafluoride into the atmosphere is a matter of global concern. Due to the impact of climate change, it is expected that the sea level will rise. Consequently, people living in coastal areas will have to endure the consequences. Numerous individuals reside along the coastline, and these coastal communities are highly vulnerable to natural hazards. Let us discuss about rise in sea levels. 3/4 of the world is covered by ocean. Around 3 billion people depend on marine and coastal resources for their livelihood. Oceans are a major source of economic activity such as shipping, shipbuilding, ports, offshore oil and gas production, and contribute significantly to the world's GDP. Human beings are closely associated with the sea or ocean. We are the blue planet, a body of water spinning through space, more accurately called ocean, not earth. The sea is outside us, the sea is within us, we ourselves are watery creatures. The seas and oceans absorb large amount of carbon dioxide and phytoplankton and contribute to 50% of the world's oxygen. They protect biodiversity. Ocean currents regulate our climate. The sea reduces the effects of global warming due to its immense thermal inertia and its ability to absorb carbon from the atmosphere. Ocean or sea has been the focus of mankind's concern and is important for human development. Although human beings are not aquatic creatures, their life started in the oceans. There are 4 attributes of the sea: a resource, a means of transportation, a means of information, and a means of dominion. Sea-based trade leads to mutual benefit, partnership, peace, stability, and security. Sea connects different people, cultures, civilizations, governments, and plays a role in globalization. Thus, John F. Kennedy in a 1962 speech said, I quote, "We have salt in our blood, salt in our sweat, salt in our tears. The composition of the human organism is about 70% salty water. Thus, each of us is the globe in microcosm." 95% of the world's trade is sailed through sea. Over 60% of ships fly flags different from the nationality of their owners. Thus, maritime affairs have become a dominant factor in global affairs. The oceans and seas have been a source to connect all parts of the world. 85% of the world's states have a coastline, and 75% of the world's population lives in the littoral areas, which are less than 200 nautical miles from the sea. 80% of capital cities of the states and nearly all major international trade centers and economic powers are located on the coast. 36% of the world's oceans are encompassed within the exclusive economic zone. With changes in temperature, precipitation and humidity, key sectors such as agriculture and rural development are likely to be severely affected. Impacts are already being seen in heat waves, cyclones, floods, salinization of the coastline and their effects on agriculture, fisheries and health. The ocean has the largest heat capacity of any single component of the climate system. Over the past 60 years, it has been the dominant source of changes in global heat content. According to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, global ocean heat content has increased since late 1950s. The IPCC projections reveal that by the mid-2090s, global sea level will reach 0.22 to 0.44 meters above 1990 levels and is rising at about 4 millimeters per year. Thermal expansion is projected to contribute to more than half of the average rise, but land ice will lose mass rapidly in the future. Besides causing a sea level rise, ocean heat content may lead to changes in the occurrence of extreme events such as cyclones. An increase in cyclone intensity of 10 to 20% for 2 to 4 degrees Celsius of warming is predicted. These cyclonic storms will particularly affect the poor in coastal areas. A rise in sea level would result in the gradual submergence of the coastal states and cities such as the Maldives, Jakarta, Bangkok, Manila and Shanghai. Tens of millions of people in Asia may have to be resettled and massive expenditures will be incurred to protect the coastal cities from sea level rise, which may range from about 20 to 70 centimeters by the end of this century. Oceans are also significant heat transfer engines in Earth's climate system. Oceans absorb more than half of the solar energy reaching the Earth's surface. Tropical oceans in particular are significant absorbers of solar energy. Once the ocean surface is heated by the sun, heat is redistributed by a complex global system of ocean currents. However, the movement of ocean currents is much slower than the movement of atmospheric circulation currents. The water in the oceans is structured in layers, and these layers are important to circulation patterns. The uppermost layer, where heat is first absorbed, is well mixed by wind and waves and exchanges heat and gases with the atmosphere on the shortest time scales. Much of the energy absorbed by the ocean's upper layer goes to evaporate water, resulting in warm, humid air that contains extra heat energy. The convective updrafts of this air can be a major force driving weather systems. I hope you understood about the rise in sea levels. We will discuss about impact of rising sea levels on India and climate change in the next video. Thank you.